like I've been on this journey my whole life because it started with my name, Talitha Cumi, which literally means little girl, wake up. And I can't say it's been easy. There's been a lot of bumps and bruises along the way. But I believe life is all in your decision making. The I Am Talitha Cumi Show is a combination of things that I love to talk about. And I want to enlighten you, encourage you, and inspire you to be the best you can be with some help from my guest. Let's talk about it. And we are live here at the Botham Jean Foundation Gala event, you guys. I feel like there are so many people, like you said, that are in pain from stress or whatever it is, and we're going to the doctor. They're giving us this medication. This medication sometimes is making us worse. Sometimes the medication is not working. Sometimes the medication has so many side effects. So is there anything that I left?
No, other than my name is pronounced Georgia Nay.
Georgia, I was pronouncing that all wrong. Georgia Nay. My bad. I hate when people pronounce my name wrong too. Georgia Nay. So I'm gonna be calling her Gina. So yes, that's cool. You know, okay, yeah. All right. Hey y'all, hey, it's your girl Talitha Cumi, and I want to welcome you to the I Am Talitha Cumi Show on Vegas Hype Media. Thank you so much for tuning in, and remember, you can catch us here every Friday at 7:30 p.m. on our Food for the Soul Media Group page and YouTube station. Also on Vegas Hype Media's FB page and YouTube station, and the Mixler app for some of you guys who just want to listen to us live. Shout out to Quan keeping us live on the ones and twos and keeping us looking and sounding right. And also, I got to shout out my baby, Big Bobby B, who is live in our chat room right now. So I am talking to my guests about some stuff that you may just want to know about. And my disclaimer, as always, these are my opinions, not fact, just my opinions. And some of the opinions of our guests are not always the opinions of the I Am Talitha Cumi Show, Food for the Soul Media Group, or Vegas Hype Media. And if you want to weigh in, leave us a comment in the chat room on our YouTube or our FB page. And please, you guys, take a minute, go to my YouTube station right now and hit that subscribe button for me. I'm trying to get my subscriber game up. And I know you're watching, so help a sister out and just click that subscribe button so you guys will know whenever I come on. And then follow me at Food for the Soul Media Group and I Am Talitha _ Cumi, C-U-M-I. And so you guys, I'm doing something a little different. I'm going to be doing something different on Fourth Fridays. I love to try new formats and mix stuff up. And so whenever I get a chance, I like to try something new just to kind of see how our viewers relate to it. So just like I'm going to be looking for some cool artists to spotlight on my show every week, we are also going to be inviting some cool people to come and co-host the show with me so we can just talk about some stuff and have some conversation. And I'm also going to be introducing you to a new segment in other news that's going to be beginning Mondays in June. And I want you guys to kind of tell me what you guys think about it. So tonight, we're just having conversation, talking about some stuff, rounding our month off with a bang. And so I have some special guest co-hosts, one who's been on the show before and one who has not. And so we're going to see how we gel. So I want you guys to introduce yourselves first, and let's get into this conversation. So first, I'm going to go with you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kassha Brown, and I am an entertainment and small business publicist based in the Los Angeles area. I'm a transplant from Dallas, Texas, is what I always say. And so I do entertainment PR.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kay Griffith. I am a licensed professional counselor here in Las Vegas. I am a industry recruiter as well as a social media influencer somewhat.
Okay. And tell us, you're not from here. You're not a native here either,
No,
are you?
I'm from Dallas.
That's what I thought. So we're all Dallasites coming out here to make our way on the West Coast. And so we're discussing It Runs in the Family. And I wanted to end my theme of the family closing May out talking about some much needed dialogue about generational curses, genetic disease, and family trauma. And so Bobby and I did a show about generational curses probably a couple of years ago. And I'm wondering if they're really real, or should we be calling them generational curses? Should we be calling them something else? Or do you guys even believe in generational curses?
I look at it more so as generational habits.
Okay.
A lot of times
not
I
curses.
feel like when we put curses on it, it becomes a negative connotation. Now, of course, when you begin to talk about curses, that goes into a whole another demographic of what you believe in and what you practice and what you understand and study. But me personally, because I like to look deeper into things, what if it's just habits that you form or things that you were taught from your grandmother or great grandmother or grandfather, so forth and so on, and those things or habits were just learned and passed down.
Mm-hmm. So not necessarily generational curse.
I was brought up feeling like we have a generational curse in our family, but I also felt like I adapted a different terminology for it, because I feel like, how are you going to break it if you keep just saying we have a curse in our family if you don't look at a positive way to get out of it or break it or change habits.
Okay.
And I totally agree. There's nothing generational about generational curses. It's all about choices. And at the end of the day, someone has to be accountable for making the correct choice for themselves first, and then their family going forward.
Okay.
If we keep speaking it, like you said, if we keep saying that it's a curse, that's what it becomes. And we pass that down to our future generation. And it's repetitive. So it has to be broken at some point with a choice.
Okay.
And just to add a little bit to that, I was talking to Bobby actually earlier, and one of the things when you think about curse, it becomes like, I guess, how do they do it? Is it a chant? Is it a whatever? Is it repetitious? What happens to make it be called a curse? So if you constantly tell someone you just like your daddy, or you just like your mama, or you act like this, or you do that, then you become what you're told that you are. So again, it becomes habit or something that you're told that you should be, as opposed to a literal curse. Maybe it's just an analogy.
And I didn't look that up, so I don't even know who came up with the term generational curses.
I did. I did look it up, and I couldn't see where it came from. But when I was doing more research, I kept coming across how choices play a big role in developing, I want to say, family traditions or family customs. And like you said, it becomes, she's just like her mom, she's just like her dad. But how they start is when there's something that you're uncomfortable with, or that you're faced with a challenge, and there's a traditional way of dealing with it because you're comfortable dealing with it in that way, it becomes a family way of dealing with it.
Okay.
The only way I could relate is, I know it sounds a little crazy, but putting water in the ketchup jar and shaking it up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why not just go buy a new bottle of ketchup? I know that that's an analogy, because if we are comfortable doing things the way that they've always been done, someone has to make a choice to do something different to bring a new light or a new perception to the entire family.
So even with that, I think when it comes to generational curses, we were more so taught that spiritually, from a spiritual space. Like, you know, if you are a believer and you're a person who says, okay, your sins, you may not suffer consequences for your sins, but your children's children or your children's children may. So maybe that's where the generational curse started from, more so biblically, that says, okay, whatever your actions are, the consequences are going to be, possibly be suffered by your generational bloodline.
The sins of the father.
Yeah.
Yes. And I can see that. And so I guess then we already answered our own question. Then biblically, we've seen that throughout history in the Bible, where God was like, hey, look, I'm telling y'all to do this and you guys are not doing it. So because you're not doing it, your people down the line are going to suffer for it. Sorry, but I told y'all what to do. Y'all didn't do it. Here's where it starts. And so adapting that, do you think then the generational curses, generational habits kind of flow the same? They're kind of the same thing.
I think our people suffer from the lack of knowledge.
Okay. And it's because we're not telling them Is that the lack of knowledge, or are we supposed to seek it out ourselves?
It starts with us. It starts with one person makes their choice to make a change with their children and their children's children. If I'm a single, young, unwed mother, I have a daughter at the age of 15. My daughter falls into the same pattern. Am I going to encourage her to do better by being accountable for the lifestyle that I have made her accustomed to, and being a support system to her and encouraging her to do better? Or am I going to bring her down that same path that I went raising her? And that's kind of how it begins. If I'm a single mother, I have a daughter, and I don't encourage her, let me keep your child while you go to school. Do better for yourself. I don't want you to be like me. You are staying in that quote unquote generational curse if you teach her how to get her subsidies and programs and SNAP, TANF, whatever, and live off of the system, as opposed to giving her the tools or giving her the support that she needs to grow.
But is it a genetic curse, or is it her watching you as a kid? So if I'm a single unwed mother, and then I have my daughter who's watching me be a single unwed mother, then I don't have to really tell her anything. She's going to adapt. Okay, this is how I'm supposed to be.
Maybe. Because I feel like with our household, my mother was very open with her transition with drugs back in the 70s. And so me and my brother, I have an older sister. Well, I had an older sister than my brother than myself. So we grew up in the household like, we're never going to drink. We're never going to do drugs, because we saw what it did and we didn't want to do it. But my sister was the opposite. She partook in it. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like it's a choice in that aspect. So maybe it's generational role models or generational, in that perspective, you still decide. So it depends on what you have within yourself. Basically, what connotation you put on it. Right. For me, I don't like people to tell me, oh, let me give you some constructive criticism, because automatically criticism is deemed negative. Right. But if you say you're going to give me constructive feedback, now I'm open to listening to what you're having to say, because some people can't take criticism. They can take feedback. Maybe it's the same thing with the generational space. Maybe generational curses makes you feel all uneasy. Like, man, my family is doomed. Maybe if you say generational habits that you've learned, maybe you now can say, okay, we can unlearn these habits.
Okay.
So hopefully that makes.
Which goes back to choices.
Yeah. It does. It does. Choices and you as a person,
Yeah.
But when you talk about this topic, there are so many. It's like a Pandora's box. There are so many underlying issues that play a vital role in what we call generational curses.
Yeah.
Is it poverty? Is it behavior? Is it, like diabetes and illnesses? Right. Like, what are we considering as a generational curse?
Okay.
That's the question. Like, what?
And in my mind, I'm thinking mindset. I'm really thinking mindset of how we move as a family or as a generation. And so, for example, if my parents, they were taught to do things this way, and either I watched them or I adapted because it's hereditary or whatever. And so now I do things this way because my parents do things this way. And then I teach my kid do things this way because my parents did this way. And then their parents are like, they taught them this way. And so now we're all going down this road that could be a falsehood, or it could be bad for us. But because that's all we know, it's just generational. Now I'm going to tell my kids, and I'm going to tell her kids. And it's just, it keeps going until somebody says, why do we do stuff that way?
Yeah, but even
why do we, and I'm sorry not to cut you off, but even with church, for an example, like we are taught, go to church, serve God. Okay. So we go to church and we serve God, but some of us, until we get older, we don't even know why we've been doing it. We're just, oh, my mom did it. We always had to go to church. Why? I don't know. They told us to go to church. They told us to believe in God. Okay, guess we believe in God.
again, I just feel like some things. So say for instance, you're a person who you repetitiously do something, right? Say for instance, you're a smoker, but you go on the porch every day to smoke your cigarette or whatever you smoke. And you think you're hiding from everybody, but your child looks out the window every time and they see you smoking, right? So now they want to try cigarettes because they think it's cool and they want to do it, right? And then maybe that keeps going. So maybe it's something that you see someone do, but what helps us when we, how can I say this? I feel like as a people sometimes it makes you feel better when you could just be like, oh, well, my mama smoked, so I smoke. Is that as opposed to taking accountability for your choices or your actions, you just go ahead and adapt. Well, they said my daddy, his daddy used to be a, abuser, domestic violence. That's why he liked that. No, you still have a choice. And you said something as well in reference to, I think, or you did genetics. Think about how many times people say, oh, well, if you have high blood pressure, if your grandma had it, you probably gonna have high blood pressure, or you probably gonna get the sugar or diabetes because, that's generational as well, as they say, because even the doctors tell you that. Well, if your parents had this, it's likely that you're going to have that too. But what if you eat different? What if you're vegan? What if you don't drink or smoke? Do you still have those same chances of having those different, illnesses, diseases, or,
Do you? Okay. What have you seen?
Well, statistically,
Here we go with the envelope.
according to
Gallup polls and surveys done by the American Heart Association, it's a 33% chance that if you have an underlying condition, someone in your immediate family passed down that that genome. That's what it's called. It's a genome. They pass that down to you, and sometimes it may skip a generation. The same thing with twins. Your grandmother may have had twins, but your mom didn't, but the granddaughter may have twins. It's a gene that's passed down genetically. Same thing with mental illness. It's a gene that's passed down. Those things are genetic traits and character. And when you talk about generational curses, you have to think generational curses that deal with behavior, generational curses that deal with health and mental illness.
Yeah.
So that's why I said when you talk about it, you're opening up a
Pandora's
box.
Okay.
And even with that though, so for me, I don't remember people saying, well, I made sure this person had their blood work done. They got this going on, that going on, and we have the same gene for sickle cell, so we're not going to have kids together. They just, whatever happens, the grown people do when they have kids. But nowadays, people are like, no, let's get this blood work done because we can prevent some of these things from happening if you see that genetically you have a certain gene or a chromosome or whatever that will conflict with mine and then maybe cause autism or Down syndrome or schizophrenia, bipolarism, whatever, because again, a lot of those things are like, genetically or DNA based, if that makes.
And back in the 50s, have you ever heard people say we had to go get a blood test before we got married?
Yes.
Oh, a long
I
time
remember
ago.
that. Yes.
Yeah.
And they don't do that anymore.
They don't do that anymore.
They don't require that anymore. And so, but makes you wonder though, why did they have to get the blood test? Who said you guys have to get this blood test?
If they related.
Okay. Well,
I mean, because I'm saying a lot of times
maybe that was why. Because I don't know why they did it. I have no clue, but it makes sense. And then who do you say? So, okay, I got blood work done and I have the sickle cell trait and my soon-to-be husband has a sickle cell trait. And so somebody comes in and says, hey, you guys both have the sickle cell trait. So be careful when having children because there could be a chance that your child could have sickle cell.
Yes.
It's just that simple. And so that's how it should work. But we're saying that it doesn't anymore. Well, so we're just all out here just willy-nilly and
you like who you like, and that's why you have so many other things that people are catching because as you like who you like and you explore what you explore. I know we kind of got off subject a little bit, but in the space that I'm in with entertainment, I deal with a lot of people who have different mental health situations, right? So I studied a lot of, I studied forensic psychology in college. So basically that's kind of the study of why people do what they do. Of course, more so on the criminal side, but still works the same. A study why people do what they do, and then a concentration on mental health, like what causes you to do that particular thing. So I said that to say, when dealing with even people in that particular industry, it helps me. I kind of use that background to kind of see, okay, this person is having an anxiety attack. What do I do to help this person have an anxiety attack? Or this person is dealing with A, B, C, D. It helps me deal with the different talent that I communicate with being able to know how to help people with these different, I don't want to call them disorders.
That's what they are.
Yeah, I was going to say diseases. That's why I was like disorders.
Disorders.
Disorders,
and so,
yeah.
and that brings me back to, I think you and I had a conversation about that. Wouldn't that be so great if people working with people, and not just what you do, but like what I do, what Kay does, if I know what's going on with this person, not all in your business, but if we're going to work together, let me know some of the triggers or different things like that, and it can stop so many issues, marriages, friendships, everything. We can approach it in a way that, okay, I know what triggers Kassha. I know what triggers Kay. I'm married to Bobby. I know what triggers him, and so now we move differently because I try not to do that. I try not to do whatever it is that's going to trigger him, that's going to cause an argument. And now, you know, we talking about divorce because I said, hey, why you keep the cap off for the toothpaste?
You know why? It goes back to what Kay and you were, and all of us were saying, because generationally we were taught what goes on in this house stays in this house.
And you acting just like your mama.
You know what I mean? So I think you adapt that habit as even in your profession. I don't go and tell my personal business, even though that's what a publicist should know. I don't go tell people my personal business that happens at home. You're thinking from a space of it's going to help this person be better and help you service them, but they're thinking about that's my personal business, and you'll have an advantage over me if I'm vulnerable enough to tell you that I'm bipolar or I deal with this and that. You know what I mean? Think about the Kanye West situation. People weren't just rallying around him like, oh my gosh, you know, they was just like, here we go, another episode.
Right.
Because he was transparent in his own way.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's 50-50, you know.
I mean, it's just, to me, it's just understanding. It's understanding, and it's grace, and it's learning how to deal with each other on that type of level. And prime example, when we were looking for movies for our movie review, we watched a few movies, right? And we rarely do that without Bobby falling asleep. But we saw a movie called The Sun, and it was dealing with mental health. And it was so sad because they didn't understand, like as his parents, they didn't understand what he was going through, and he couldn't explain it. And so my question is, with all of that going on, who's really helping? Who's helping? Who is supposed to help? Because you figure as a kid, I'm like talking to my parents, and he's trying to tell his parents, I don't know why I feel this way. I don't know why. And they're like, well, stop doing that. Well, do better. Well, what do we need to do? And he's like, I don't know. So then they take him to the hospital, and the hospital person says, your son suffers from this. Take this medication and go on home. Or don't go on home. Stay here. Are we helping them? Are we not helping them? Are you
asking, as parents, are we helping them?
As parents, as doctors, are we helping them with that? Or are we just kind of putting a Band-Aid on the situation?
Well, in regards to medication, it's probably, so we're opening up another box.
Okay. Well, hey, I'm ready to open up the boxes.
When
Let's
it comes
go.
to medication and mental disorders, it really is needed, especially if you're dealing with schizophrenia, depression, anxiety, because if you don't get the help that you need in the form of some sort of medication, when you can't cope with it, that is why most people start substance abuse.
Right.
That leads to substance abuse.
Okay.
So who deals with it is they have to make a choice to accept that they have a diagnosis. They have to be able to reach out and say, like Kanye, I suffer from X, Y, and Z. So we know when he's having a breakdown, and someone is always there to tell him, you need to get help.
Okay.
But if we don't know that someone has an issue, how do we tell them that they need to get help? Or are you off your meds? Or,
right.
You know, someone will be accountable if you are open and transparent about what's going on with you. But in regards to not taking the medication, especially with children, that's why there's a lot of drugs. That's why there's a lot of peer pressure, a lot of violence, a lot of crime amongst our youth today, which goes back to generational curse, because their father may have had the same issue going on. Their mother may have had the same thing going on. They weren't medicating. They didn't know how to deal with it. They grew up, they're not making their child medicate, or they're not giving their child the tools that they need to be the best version of themselves. And so they end up in a life of crime, a life of addiction. Those things are pathways.
Well, let's talk about then, how do we know though? Like I had a friend where she was just kind of different, right? And I think along the line, over our years of friendship, she ended up getting a diagnosis. And I'm like, gosh, we maybe thought that, but she didn't even know. She didn't know why she was so up and down all the time until somebody, I forgot what happened, and she ended up going to the doctor and they told her. So now she's just living with this. I'm just up and down. And as a friend, I'm like, hey, you too up and down. I'm pretty straight. I don't deal with all that. Not knowing what was going on. Yeah, and I noticed it, and she probably noticed it, but she still didn't know why. So it was like, okay, I don't know why I act like this. I just do. Because okay then. So
our community, speaking the Black and brown community, we don't quickly go to the hospital or to those mental health facilities or counseling when it's a need. You know what I mean? So like, I feel like that's sometimes why it takes a while for us to understand why grandma is talking about this, and it's really, she's not crazy, but she's dealing with dementia. Or why, like you said, your friend is up and down, well, they're bipolar. Like, for instance, when you asked the question earlier about who helps or who does whatever, I want to commend my friend Cindy Hill. She, fresh out of college, University of Texas at Austin, double major in accounting, working for, I believe it was the Spurs and Nike, had her child, Trevor, and she found out he was autistic. Now, some people, working parent, great job, great education, you may let the school systems handle it. Maybe he'll be in special classes, so forth and so on. But she made the conscious decision to say, I'm about to step away from the workforce, and I'm about to take care of my child. I'm about to teach my child and help, my child learn the skills that he needs to be able to function in school as normal as he can. And when I say this guy, Trevor, he's now graduating this year, is as sharp as a tack. He's about to go to college. He had so many D1 colleges trying to recruit him on football scholarship. He's super smart. He knew a lot of stuff I didn't know. We played some trivia games, and I was just like, wait, how did you know that president, the third president or fifth president, just like this? Super smart. And I commend her a lot, because she sacrificed, as I say, her career, her livelihood, and the industry that she went to school all these years for, to ensure that her child was the best version of himself despite a diagnosis. And you'd never be able to tell that's what he had. And she worked through it.
Which is a generational curse, because our Black and brown people, we don't talk about mental illness.
No.
We just recently started talking about mental illness.
Yes, did.
We just recently opened up about this exists in our community. And that is why that's what they called it, a generational curse, because they didn't want to be transparent about what was really going on. I remember growing up, and my brother was hyperactive, and they put him on Ritalin when he was in kindergarten.
Okay.
My mom didn't know anything about putting her son on some sort of behavioral drug that was going to adjust his, make him act the way that they wanted him to act, and it turned him into a zombie. But we didn't know how to deal with that. So you know what we did? What she did, or what the outcome was? You don't have to take that medicine at the end of the day. But it was something that he needed, but maybe it wasn't something that we were willing to accept at that time.
Okay.
Because with that comes a stereotype of crazy. Crazy. She's crazy because she's on meds. So we just didn't talk about that. And that is probably one of the biggest generational curses that exists in our communities, in our family. We don't want to talk about that. Maybe if we talked about the generational curses, or we talked about mental illness, we could understand why you, why people are unable to deal with their own grievances, so they latch on to other people. That's codependency. So they pull other people down. That is a diagnosis, codependency.
And listening. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, no.
And listening to that, I'm thinking, I'm processing because my mind moves a little different. I'm thinking of just cultural crisis. It's a cultural crisis. Because think about it. How many times have we as a people like, oh, that person is a little off? Now, a little off can mean they're schizophrenic because they talking to themselves, or they're a little special, special in the sense of they're a little different, right? So we don't look for a diagnosis for them. We just say they're a little off, or they're a little crazy, or they're a little whatever. So that's why you get this negative stigma to it. Say, for instance, a person has cancer, right? You're not going to ridicule them because they have cancer. That's a sensitive space. But we do that when it comes to mental health, because we always attach it to crazy or a little off, mentally retarded, as opposed to giving it the proper diagnosis to say that person is, bipolar or schizophrenia, you know what I'm saying? And there's so many others. I'm just using those as an example. But because we need to, like you said, educate the community more on these things, then we can start to see a lot of this stuff is cultural. So even if you say generational or cultural, I feel like we as a culture, as a people, say that more than anybody I've ever heard. Yeah. We got these generational curses. You know what I mean? Because some people look at it as, you know what, this happened to my mama, my grandmama, but because it happened to them, I'm not going to accept that. And it's not going to happen to me. I'm about to move forward and rise above it. So I feel like we as a culture need to start having these conversations more about, mental health and cultural crisis, and take away some of the negative connotation of the generational curses, unless you're talking biblically and literally, a curse
because
through
it
witchcraft.
has nothing to do. It has nothing to do with materialism.
At all.
And it's just as simple as buying a new bottle of ketchup. I am not going to fill this bottle of ketchup, this empty bottle of ketchup, with water. I'm just gonna buy a new ketchup bottle.
But why can't you fill it up?
And then grandma come, boy, that's still good. You need to fill. No, I'm going to buy a new bottle of ketchup.
But why?
That's it. Because this ketchup is done. This water dilutes this ketchup, and I don't want diluted ketchup. I want real ketchup.
So I'm going to make a choice to do what's uncomfortable and get up and go to the store and do something new.
Right.
Which is
which is the scariest thing. Like I wanted to talk about, and I think that I was actually referred to you, Kay, by a friend of ours, Christy Dean, right? And so I want to shout her out. And she used to listen to my show faithfully when I was in Dallas. But she is one of the only people that I know, that I can recall, who is very transparent about her illness. She suffers from bipolar. And she's on medication.
And so talented.
And so in meeting her, it helped me as a person, even in working with her, knowing how to move. Okay. And I never say, oh, Chrissy's special. Or Chrissy, whatever. Like, okay, I suffer from this. And so sometimes I may act like this. And sometimes when I don't take my medication, I'm sleepy, or I might be really rude, or whatever it is, until I can get to my medication. And it helped me to be able to formulate a friendship with her, knowing, okay, this is her. This is who she is. And she told me. So now I know how to move versus just counting her off or writing her off, or, even in the movie space or working with directors, she's very transparent. Hey, this is what I do. And they're like, okay, then. So we need to figure out how we're going to be able to work with that effectively, or are we going to be able to work with that? And then it's their choice to be like, okay, well, I don't know how to deal with, bipolar, that, and I'm just not going to cast you in my movie, or, or whatever it is. So I don't know, but I just appreciate the fact that she's transparent, and it doesn't make her look any less. To me, it doesn't. It just, she's different from me.
It's Chris.
But
yeah, she's a great person. Wonderful.
Yeah. Oh yeah, she is. She's special.
Yeah,
she is special. We gonna call it what it is. Yeah. She's special. I'm special, and I'm not saying special as a negative thing. Special is a great word. It's a great adjective. And when a person is special, meaning that they're different, it just means that you have to, and we talked about this on the way here, you have to be able to accept people for who they are in your life. Maybe it's a temporary, like, okay, I can only deal with you on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays.
Yes.
Or whatever. And it just means that they're different. And when you communicate that to people, or they know, then they'll be able to love you accordingly, to whatever your specialness is. Right. And I just feel like sometimes saying the word special or different is a little easier than giving a person a name that they'll be stigmatized by, or they'll receive it, or people will judge them for, like Tourette's. Like I literally was in the store. You know what Tourette's?
Yeah.
Okay. I was in the store and this lady just was having these outbursts, and I was like, wait. So initially it caught me off guard because there's a lot of stuff going on in the world today. So I was like, do I run? What's going on? What am I going to do now? But then I had to realize, oh, she's suffering from Tourette's. She has an episode with Tourette's. But I was able to still like just take it and not stare like some people were doing and kind of go about my day. But it's education and knowing what's going on with people so that you'll know how to accept them and you'll know how to move accordingly.
But the way you say it's special, though, Kassha.
Does it sound negative?
Yes.
Does it sound negative to you
Yeah,
too?
you like, oh, she's special. Like what? And I'm going to take it negatively because of the past. So don't call me special.
That's a trait that I have about me. I'm a strong personality in my presentation of voice, my tone. I can't help that.
Mm-hmm.
But you are very special. If you're very special, you're very special. It's not a negative thing.
I'm special.
You see what I'm saying? Because it's like, for me, it's like I was called different so much in my life, and I would get so upset. Like as a kid, they'd be like, "You different." I'd be like, "I ain't different. You know, whatever."
Yeah. But
the difference came from them saying is that you're set apart, and God told me that I'm different. So whenever I came into a space of knowing what different is, and different is meaning that I don't blend into the crowd, I blend in to stand out.
Right.
Then I'm like, yeah, I'm different, and it's okay. So I just say, let's celebrate saying different and saying special and making it a positive terminology, because some people don't like going by their diagnosis of what they are medically, because it then categorizes them and puts them in a box, and they feel different and special in a negative way.
Which goes back to generational curses, because we allow people to put us in those boxes.
Yep.
Okay.
And then we develop these behaviors to adapt and become like other people.
Right.
And then you get, oh, she's just like her mama, or she's just like her daddy. But that's what you have been pushed or forced. And that's the space that people have forced you to be comfortable in, because you can't be comfortable in your own skin.
I got an idea then. So for us trying to make this word positive, maybe t-shirts, just say I'm different. Or a t-shirt that says I'm special, because I'm just saying that whenever because we were talking earlier when you said something about a certain celebrity person, and somebody's like, oh yeah, he different. It came off negative right away, because they say he. But no, I'm just saying that the way they said it, they meant he different.
But that's my
what
point.
does that mean, different? And I'm just saying that if we're going to make it a word that's more positive, then maybe you just like, oh, if I'm different, I'm gonna put on here I'm different, so you know I'm different and I'm set apart and I'm special. So handle me accordingly. Period. End of story.
I'm different.
Yeah.
And proud of.
Something like that.
I have a friend girl. I was telling you about her earlier, the young lady who suffers from alopecia.
Yes.
Beautiful. Her name is Abby, and she goes by Renegade, spelled with the W. And she has a shirt that I just bought from her. What do you call it? A sweatshirt or whatever you call it.
A hoodie.
Hoodie, but it ain't got no hood. So I'm like,
Sweatshirt.
unhooded hoodie.
Okay.
That. But it says different is dope on it, because she's very different, right? And I bought it, and it's beautiful, and it's green, and it's pink, and then it has this little alien head on it or whatever. And I was like, I love this. And I was in tears when I saw it, because it's like so many times, again, people categorize different as being a negative connotation. So let's celebrate that being the new positive. Yeah. Different is the new positive, or the new powerful, or new it thing, as opposed to fitting in and everybody looking the same with the same lips.
Absolutely.
Same BBL, same stuff.
Yeah.
You're just.
But influencers wouldn't be able to make money if that was the case.
Well, it's gonna go away soon, because the internet is.
And that
is becoming a generational curse.
I don't even know how to get into that, you guys. But we're gonna take a short commercial break, and we will be right back with my new Fourth Friday show, where I am inviting you to come hang out and co-host my show with me. You guys, we will be right back.
Stay tuned.
And we are back. That was probably the shortest commercial break we have ever had in life. If you just joined us, you're tuned in to the I Am Talitha Cumi Show by Food for the Soul Media Group with me, Talitha Cumi, live on FB and YouTube on Food for the Soul Media Group and Vegas Hype Media. And I am discussing It Runs in the Family with Kassha and Kay. And you guys, it's getting real good. So we're talking about some stuff. If you guys want to share your comments, please go to the comment button and submit your comment, or on FB, submit your comment. So I want to get back into the discussion. I looked up how trauma affects family, because we're talking about that, generational curses, all that, and we've been speaking about that a lot. So it says that trauma can cause traumatic stress responses in family members with consequences that ripple through family relationships and impede optimal family functioning. And so when I looked up the signs of trauma, which is anxiety, depression, avoidant behavior, feelings of shame, addiction, eating disorders, issues with sleep, all these things, it sounds like that trauma is almost the same as mental illness. It seems like those symptoms are almost the same things. And so how are we really diagnosing people? You know, are we just putting something on them, or is it something different? Could it be family trauma that has caused them to go into some of these issues? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, is it, because when I was watching the movie, the boy, he said he kind of blamed whatever was going on his parents getting a divorce. And so that's what caused him to be however he was. But in actuality, it wasn't that at all. Because even when they kind of got back together to be there for him, he still suffered from whatever it was. So are we just putting labels on people? Like, is the pharmaceutical industry like, yeah, you suffer from depression, go ahead and take these pills so I can make this money?
That's a deep conversation.
Oh, another Pandora's box, Kay.
That's a deep one when you talk about doctors prescribing medication to people just as a outlet for the pharmaceutical companies. Yeah, that does happen. But sometimes people, they do need that medication. Mm-hmm. And when you're dealing with childhood trauma, there are memories that some people suppress that cause them to respond to certain things. What did you call them? Triggers. Mm-hmm. People suppress memories and thoughts, and then when you trigger them, they don't know how to respond, or they respond in a way that's not maybe acceptable or standard in society today. So they take medication. So the doctors are prescribing these meds because they do need them. Okay. The medications, they do help. But does it go overboard sometimes? Yes, it does.
Probably so,
that's the reality of it. It is something that goes overboard. But how do we know? We don't. That's our job, though, is to find a source of clarity and be able to help people determine what they need. Maybe more counseling group, maybe more community outreach, maybe more one-on intervention with social services, and trying to get people in the community and in the family to work with their social services agents and help these people learn what they need to do instead of what they're told to do.
And that's what I was going to say, listening to you. There's so many services and so many nonprofits that I've been blessed to meet in what I'm doing now in my career. And there's so many options for us, but people are not taking advantage of them. We're just, if anything that the pandemic should have taught you was that now we don't have to be told what to do. We can look it up for ourselves and kind of figure out other alternatives. Like when you were talking about your brother, I think your brother with ADD, it could have been that he needed medication, but it could have been that we just needed to channel his energy somewhere else. But when we're going places, maybe people are thinking that it's costing too much. Like, okay, well, the doctor told me, that he suffers from this, so that's what we finna go with. Because I'm not finna go to another doctor and another doctor and another doctor and another doctor when it's possible that maybe we should we should get a second and third opinion, because there might be that person that comes and says, he doesn't need medication. All he needs is to join a sports league or an activity to get that aggression out, or he needs to be able to do an art program to get that out of whatever's in his head on this. Like, I know that I've heard Eminem say that a lot. Like, we think that he's this totally weird, bad person, but he's like, everything that aggression, I channel it into my music and I leave it there, versus trying to be out shooting and killing and whatever. You know, I might talk about it in my music. And is that wrong? Is that right?
So can I speak to the first question that you asked initially with the, before I forget, as I know that Case touched on it a little bit, and you asked with the comparison in the different things that people feel and then actual mental health diagnosis. Yeah. So not sure if you realize or not, or know or not, that when diagnosing somebody with a mental health disorder, it's just like a doctor would do in the hospital. When you go in there and they say, okay, well, are you having chills? Do you have backache? Do you have this? Do you have that? So it's the same thing. So if someone is dealing with, you know, their parents got divorced and they're feeling withdrawn, now they're feeling hopeless, now they're feeling whatever, that may lead to then now being diagnosed with like a suicidal whatever. Yes. So whenever a person who's in that space, and she can attest to it because she's licensed in this area, they in the DSM, and of course it has so many different numbers, I don't know what number they're up to now in the DSM, but it's a book that basically says, like, based on different disorders, you have to have this many traits of this before they diagnose you with that. Okay. So it'll be like
1.2.
Okay.
So they do take the different things that you deal with, like feelings of depression and issues with sleep, and they put all those in okay. Then this right here says, okay, you got 4 of these. Okay, yeah, that says right now that you're bipolar. Or you have 5. Oh, that means that you're obsessive compulsive. So there is a way to connect those.
To connect them, and without just going overboard and saying you got depression and you got depression and you know, well, I'm just kind of doing an Oprah.
I'm just speaking to the fact that that's how they determine it. So basically not necessarily saying even that you are depressed, but this is how I determine it. You may be feeling these things today, right? But it may not be like your whole livelihood of depression. You see what I'm saying? Or whatever. That's how they determine what you are based on what you tell them that you're feeling. You see what I'm saying? So it's kind of almost like an illness. If you go in there and just say, oh, I don't have a headache, I don't have a fever, I don't have this, I don't have that, well, they're going to be like, well, let's run some tests because it doesn't seem like anything's wrong with you. Yeah. That's how they determine the same way.
Okay. And that's pretty much how it works in the counseling field?
Yes, but interestingly enough, one of the biggest things that I've come across is people can't verbalize what they're feeling.
Yes.
And
that's
when
what
they
this movie was saying.
can't
Yes.
verbalize what they're feeling, then you have to go through a series of interviews, and you don't want to pressure them because that creates anxiety.
Yes.
If they can't answer you the way that they feel you want them to answer, that creates shame. You don't want them to be depressed, but they can't verbalize how they feel. Okay. Are they sad? Are they angry? Are you nervous? How do you feel? And they really can't verbalize that.
Can I ask you a question, Kay? Yeah. So in your practice, do you counsel kids as well, or is it just of a certain age? Or
so what I do is I counsel adults that have been incarcerated. I work with a program called ORCA. Okay. It's the Offenders Reentry Council of America, and I offer services to individuals that are coming home that are needing rehabilitation through teletherapy, telesessions, and give them some outlet. I'm an outlet for them and give them some tools that they need to help them be successful, which is why I'm starting my nonprofit, which is called TRIST, Turning Rehabilitation into Successful Transition, so that we can provide an outlet for people that are coming from a traumatic experience and give them some tools to help them be successful. Okay. When you have someone that needs to talk and they can pick up a phone and call an 800 number and get someone on the phone, and you can talk to them and give them, you need to go this place, you need to talk to this doctor, you need to go here for these resources. It's counseling, but it's still on a social platform.
That's good.
And it's needed. It's needed.
That's good. Okay.
Well, you guys, we are almost out of time. I want to thank you guys so much. I have thoroughly enjoyed y'all co-hosting with me. So, Kay, let us know how we can reach you, how we can follow you, and give me one word to say, how can we help with not having to continue on with generational curses or generational habits?
Choice.
Choice. And how can people follow you and find out what you do? And
You can contact me at KG Development on Facebook. That's my platform right now. Or you can email me at kgriffithslpclasvegas@gmail.com.
okay. And Kassha, what about you?
Same
One
question.
word. Yeah.
One word to. Just don't know if I can think of one word. I know, right?
Yeah.
No.
I sat here all this time and you can't think of one word.
Transparency.
Okay.
There you go.
Transparency. And then how can we contact you for?
You can contact me. I have a website is Brown Girl Inc. INK agency. It's my PR agency. It's a boutique agency. Also, I'm on Instagram at IAM Kassha Brown. That's spelled KASSHA. Last name is Brown. And yeah, you can DM me for any type of inquiries, or on my website, you can reach out for an assessment or inquiries as well.
And yeah, me and Kassha are going to be out here kicking it this weekend. Y'all hear me? So right now, I need to introduce our awesome vocalist and spotlight artist of the evening as we close the show out. Please keep in mind, we are looking for positive artists who would like to have a live feature performance to end my show every week. I am a lover of all things music, and I really would love to showcase you and give you a platform to do your thing. You can be a Christian artist, a secular artist, but we just need some music with substance and positivity. If you're interested, you can go to our website at www.foodforthesoulmediagroup.press and go to our artist spotlight tab and submit your music, or email us at foodforthesoulpresents@gmail.com for more information, and you could be our next guest. And now, all the way from the Big D, Dallas, Texas, here is Blythe Dennis with Crazy.
I remember when I lost my mind. There was something so pleasant about that place. Even your emotions had an echo in so much space. And when you're out there without a care, yeah, I was out of touch. But it wasn't because I didn't know enough. Ooh, I just knew too much. Does that make me crazy, crazy, crazy? Does that make me crazy? Does that make me crazy, crazy? Possibly. And I hope that you are having the time of your life. Oh, but please, please think twice. Think twice, baby. That's my only advice. Come on now, come on now. Who do you think you are? Bless your soul. You think you're in control. Oh, I think you're crazy, crazy, crazy. I think you're crazy. those had the heart to lose their lives out on a limb. Oh, and all that I remember thinking is I wanna be like them. Oh, ever since I was little, it looked like fun. But it's no coincidence I've come. I can die when I'm done. Hey, maybe I'm crazy. Maybe you're crazy. Maybe we're crazy. Probably. Yeah. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe you're crazy. Maybe we're crazy. Probably. Hey.
Man, her voice just gives me chills every time I hear her sing. I thought that song was absolutely the best song she could do with what we were talking about. And no, you're not crazy. You're just special.
Yes.
Or you're different. And so I was able to bless the ladies with some Orlay Worldwide, you guys, in from Big Bobby B and his collection. And you guys, my baby does amazing work. It's amazing work. So if you guys want some customized jewelry, make sure you go to Orlay_Worldwide on Instagram, or you can email us, at birdscreates@gmail.com. So make sure you guys tune in every Friday to the IAM Talitha Cumi Show at 7:30 p.m. on our FB page and YouTube station, Food for the Soul Media Group, or Vegas Hype Media, and tell your people. Catch the Rewind Show every Wednesday, same time, 7:30 p.m. on our YouTube station. Don't forget to follow me on all of my social media platforms, IAM Talitha Cumi and Food for the Soul Media Group. Our show tonight has been sponsored in part by Orlay Worldwide, Big Bobby B Beats, and stay tuned in for Bobby B and the Side Chain coming up next at 8:45. And tune in each week before the show for our movie review of the week. And you guys stay tuned in. Next month, we have a special treat as we celebrate Black Music Month all month long. And we are out. I'm going to let these girls enjoy their treats. And we finna go out and look fly. Holler at you.